day 18, the real day 18, not not yesterday's day 17. Um, Today's gonna be a semi quick one. Just a little journaling. Not sure if I'm gonna add a photo or not. It's gonna be about Humbug Day because it was about Humbug Day, and yeah. So my idea here, because I've got going into day 19, I know I want to use this. So I don't want to do any page where I need to worry about a photo on the back because this is going to be on the right, right? Um, and because I don't really have one to put on the left. So whatever I put has got to be its own thing, if that makes sense. Originally, I was thinking I was going to stitch these two together, make them their own page, but then I kind of had the thought that I could make my own pocket, kind of based on this pocket, but I didn't feel like this pattern went with the vibe, and it's not big enough. See, so I cut one, and it's not big enough because when I put this in here, it's the same size and there's not enough room for the holes. So this was kind of my test run. So I grabbed another piece of paper. Both of these I have printed. So I printed one of the pattern papers, and I'm just going to fold it in half. And then I'm just going to take my scissors and just cut an angle on the front to create my pocket. Now, you could also use a ruler and an X-Acto knife, but I'm just kind of winging it at this point. And then I was going to punch my holes, but I decided that I wanted to trim a little bit off the pocket. It was just a tiny bit too big. So I think I ended up trimming about a half an inch off the side. Not a lot, but just to make the pocket a little bit smaller. Because basically, the only thing I'm putting in here is my journaling, and I will end up putting a photo in here. So now I'm just going to punch the holes for my pocket. Um, and then I also decide that I want some kind of pattern on the inside of the pocket. And I don't want anything really busy, and it's not going to show too much. But I remembered that I had that extra piece of ledger paper that I had used on day 3, I believe it was. So I'm going to trim that down. I have my pocket at 5 inches wide. So I'm going to trim that down, and then I'm going to add that to the inside of my pocket, just with some regular adhesive. And then I will need to repunch the circles for my pocket before I put some score tape on the side and bottom to make the pocket. And as always, there's a little bit of trimming on there that needs to happen as always. So just gonna punch the holes and continue on. Yeah, I like that better. Okay. So the thinking is I'm going to journal in here. I also pulled this out when I was originally thinking I would attach these. This was from, I think, a 3x4 journal card that I punched out thinking I might use on here. I don't think I'm going to use this, but I've still got it there. I think I'm going to use the die to cut one of these out and put on the front. And then I'm thinking I'm going to put this up here, potentially. So that's what I'm thinking. I might add something else up there. Maybe a star? I don't know. Gotta dress it up. Even though it's a humbug. It's still Christmas. Right? We're still even we're even when we're feeling bah humbug about stuff, we still gotta try to be festive, right? Right. Even when people are trying to bring the mood down, which is one of the things on my bah humbug. Oh, I kind of like that. I wonder if I should use a smaller star. Kind of like that. I might do that. We'll see. I might look through my stuff. And then I'm going to cut this out. I'm thinking wonder if I should grab the red, because I was thinking I want to use one of these, and that's too much green. There is a red one. Let's see where'd it go. Oh, there's a black one too. Kind of like that. There's the red one. I almost feel like the black would kind of pop. And then we could put the 18 on there. And then we could put something else on here maybe. At this point, I'm just kind of going through some of my embellishments to see if I can find something to go with that number 18, but spoiler alert, I end up going with something totally different. And I believe I use even different stars on that Bah Humbug as well. So sometimes it's just fun to kind of go through your stash and see what you have and, see what kind of resonates with you when you're putting your page together. So once I get done looking through those, I'm going to start my journaling, and I'm using two different kinds of pens. I've got a brush tip marker and then my micron pen that I'm going to use, and just kind of journaling about things that are making me feel a little bah humbug. Illnesses, Addie and I, my daughter, we both kind of got sick earlier in the month, and then my husband kind of started to get something. Grumpy people, and not so much grumpy people in public, but people who are in your, immediate bubble, kind of bringing you down a little bit with their grumpiness and attitudes, and enough said with that. So, and then the third one was my Christmas lights. The one side of my Christmas lights, we plug into two different outlets. So one side of the house is on one outlet and the other one is on, the other side. And the side that kept going out was, of course, the one that was also tripping the fuse in my garage, which of course then shuts off my fridge, which is not a good thing because we have an extra fridge in the garage. I actually have a freezer too, but that already died. So anyway, so they kept going out. I had to unplug a few of them because they kept tripping. I don't know what was going on. And I was kind of done with it at that point. So I unplugged the ones that were tripping the lights or tripping the fuse, and just those ones stayed out and the other ones stayed on, and it is what it is, and I will figure it out next year. That is a next Christmas problem to deal with. So once I finish all of my journaling, you'll see here in a minute, I accidentally, actually you might be able to see it right here. I forgot to let some of the ink dry, and then I realized I smudged it, and oh, boo. I thought I could live with it, but no, I cannot. Okay, had a little snafu because I wasn't thinking after I did my journaling and I went to do my underlining, these parts were still wet because I was using this brush pen marker, and it's pretty juicy, so it takes a minute to dry. So I wasn't thinking. And originally I thought, oh, I can live with it, but this, yeah, I can't live with that. That's going to make me crazy. So thankfully, I have this one with the red. I prefer the green, but it's all good. So I'm going to let this finish drying. But what I did, after each section, I underlined so that I wasn't putting my hand through the next section there. So it's pretty dry. It's still a little wet. So I'm going to let that dry. And while I do that, I think I'm going to cut out this with my die cut. And then hopefully by the time that'll be dry, and I can add something to the top of here. So let's do that. So now I'm just going to grab my die cutting machine, and I'm going to grab that label die that was an add-on this year, and I'm just going to run it through my machine. I'm going to cut out a red, one of those red labels, and also a green one, because I wasn't sure if I was going to want to use the green or the red label. I pretty much decided I didn't want to use the black one, but so I'm just going to run that through my die cutting machine. I grabbed some temporary tape to hold that in place, realized I had the wrong size plate, so I needed to grab the thicker one to run it through my die cutting machine. And then I'm going to cut out a green one and a red one. I love this die set. It's one of my favorites from this year. I really like it. And it gets me using some of my, other tools, right? Like pulling out my die cutting machine, and I just love it. So once I get those cut out, I'm going to figure out what I want to do with that label on the front of my pocket. And I do end up going with the green one. I pulled out these vellum stars that were in the Star Mini Kit, and I am going to back the number with that. I know it's hard to see in the video, but just adds a little bit more dimension on there. And then I'm going to grab this little gold chipboard star that again was from the Star Mini Kit. It was inside that other star right there. So I'm going to attach the bottom and the side of my pocket with some score tape. And then I realized my score tape got all messed up. Apparently it got kind of tangled up in oh my gosh, what a mess. Got tangled up in one of my punches that's in my little organizer over here, and just, yeah, it's a mess, but whatever. So I'm going to attach that on the bottom and the side, and then I will need to, I think I need to repunch a little bit because, oh no, I don't, because I made sure that I put the score tape on the outside of the holes. So now I'm going to decorate my 3x8 card, or I think it's more like 3 3/4, putting some dimensional adhesive on that Bah Humbug just to kind of make it pop a little bit. And then instead of doing those plastic stars, I end up pulling out some sticker stars that I've used these a few times. They're from my stash from many years ago. So once I kind of put those there and I decide, nah, I'm not really loving that. And I always seem to tap on my desk when I'm trying to figure out what I want to do. So I will end up pulling out those star stickers and putting those on there. This year I've noticed I've been pulling out a few very old things out of my December daily stash, which I love because I love, get it used up, right? So now I'm just kind of decorating the front of that label pocket. Or front of the label, I should say, on the pocket. I'm just going to staple all those layers together and then use some score tape to attach that to my pocket. It looks so cute. I love it. It's a very, very simple page. Just a little journaling. I originally wasn't going to add a photo, but I do end up actually adding a photo on here. And you can see here, decide that I'm going to do that. So I'm printing it right now. Okay, so I pulled out a few more things. I grabbed this vellum card, and then I did pull out a photo. This is this is my WTF face. It's raining and I'm grumpy, and truth be told, I had been crying off and on because things going on that were just stressing me out. And it takes a lot to make me cry, that's for sure. But so I think I decided to put this in here because, it goes and it'll fit right in there. So I'm just trying to figure out what I want to put on here. I did pull out this from my stash, and I was thinking I could cut this up. This was not so, and then Merry and Bright. I might put it on the top. And then I thought about using some of these stickers and trying to piece together some words. Like there's, humbug. There's probably bah humbug in here somewhere. Not great. I'd rather not. There's just breathe. Those are all good too. So, but I think I like this one too. And of course, I'm wearing my sweatshirt. This is probably just going to jingle some of the way. I'm tired. Truth. So, I'm going to cut this up. I'm going to cut this part. Let's see. Yeah. I'm going to cut that off. Probably just going to staple it on here, honestly. This was not so. And then Merry and Bright. Sometimes during the season, not everything is all rainbows and butterflies, right? Right, unfortunately. So, I don't like how thick that is. I'll just trim that down just a little bit. Of course, I cannot cut straight to save my life. Just overlap them like that. I'm thinking maybe, or maybe I'll put them in the center. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I'm not going to overthink it. The thing is with stories like this, even though, I feel like sometimes they need to be told, it doesn't doesn't make me happy, thinking about it. So I really don't want to spend a whole lot of energy on this page. I just want to be done. Let's see. Oh, you know what? I should stagger them. That's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Here we go. And I could put like a tab at the top or something. I think it looks fine just the way it is. Yeah, simple. I love this part right here. I love that. I did cut out a red as well. But in the end, I like the green with the green. So that works for me. So tomorrow, or for, day 19, I may put something there. I might put a photo. I might put an embellishment. Not sure yet what I will do. That will be a next video thing to think of. So, yeah, simple page documenting the not so fun parts of the holiday season. So, hope you like this video. Be sure to, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. And I will see you in the next video.